Okay, we're going to look at the Liquify tool. I have this photo of this guy here opened up. I unlocked the layer by double clicking it, and then I drug one of the layers down to this new layer, and I made a copy of that just so I already have my previous layer. I just deleted that layer. I don't need 3 layers of this, but I have my original layer as well, just in case. Okay, so I have my layer 0 selected. Should also always keep our layers tidy, and I'll name this, I'll just title it guy. Okay, I have this layer selected. My transform controls are on. That way I can tell I have this layer selected. Also, it's selected right here. It's grayed out. And so now I'll go up here to filter and down here to liquify. Okay, we'll go into the liquify feature in Photoshop, and you can do several things in Photoshop. And you can do a lot of different things over here. We're going to look at the basics of this though today. We can push things around, we can swirl things, pucker, and bloat. Let's look at those today. Okay, so when you push things around, you can see that you have a, this is how big my brush radius is, and I can just kind of push those pixels around. Okay, I can just move these around. I can move out his ear, and you can see where I click and drag from, you kind of get different effects. So then I can make his ear a little larger and kind of wonky or something. The bigger you make the brush, the more pixels it's going to grab. Okay, but just be aware it's going to grab all those pixels. See, it's grabbing his hair too. So be aware of that. Okay, and we'll then just exaggerate all the features of this guy. We'll just make his neck really skinny, and then make his ear really big. Poor guy. Sorry. Now let's look at the swirl. The swirl would do what you expect it to do. It'll swirl things around. Let's swirl his hair a bit. You can just kind of swirl his hair a little bit, make it even more spinning kind of around, and you can just manipulate all those pixels together and swirl them. You can see if you do it too much, the pixels start to spread around, and you're stretching out pixels that, I mean, some were there, some were not. So you will get to a point where you're creating more pixels. So don't do this too much, or you're going to force Photoshop to make new pixels. So even copy layers as you can, and then push those around. We can use the pucker tool. That'll pucker things in smaller. And so let's make this, let's get his mouth right here. And we'll take his mouth and make this brush even bigger. And we'll just pucker, and this just makes his mouth even smaller. You can see that right there. All right, now the bloat tool will make things look more bloated. It'll make things bigger. So you click those from the center point, and it'll bloat things out to make them look larger. Okay, you don't have to do this on faces. You can do this on anything. It'll just do the same things to those pixels and make things bigger, or pucker things in, swirl things around, or push pixels around. This is a great thing for liquid, for pushing liquid around, or faces if you want to make caricatures, or anything like that is a good Liquify tool option. Once you're done, click OK, and now you see your effects right here. They've changed. If I turn this layer off, you see the original layer, and now our liquefied layer. Totally different caricature of himself, and that's the Liquify tool.